You know what? There's one other technique that your teacher might teach you, because notice that this one here, it breaks down into these two factors, k plus 2 and k minus 2 in brackets. So your teacher, and he wouldn't be wrong, might suggest getting rid of that denominator first. That means you multiply the whole thing like that, or you can do one at a time if you're more comfortable. But if I multiply the right, I have to multiply all of the left. Okay. On the right, it just cancels. It makes my life really easy. And on the left, as I'm doing individually, well, this one here only has this one in common with those two. So it would cancel this part. And I'd be left with this times that. And then this part here, when I multiply by k plus 2 times k minus 2, the only thing in common is the k minus 2. So the k minus 2 would cancel. And I'd be left with k plus 2 times that, with a big plus in between. And then if I expand this, I get 4k squared minus 8k. Oh, sorry, 4k squared minus k minus 8k, so minus 9k, plus 2. And this one, I get plus, which makes my life easier, k squared plus 1k plus 2k plus 2. And this whole right is still there. And if I add up the common terms, I can see 4k squared plus 1k squared, 5k squared, minus 9k plus 3k minus 6k, plus 2 plus 2 plus 4. So I get this on the left is equal to this on the right. And then I got to get all the k squares to one side. So I subtract 1k squared here, which means I have to subtract 1k squared here. So this becomes 4k squared. And then I have to add plus 4k here, which means I have to add plus 4k here, which means this becomes minus 2k. And then I have to subtract 24 here, which means I have to subtract 24 here, which becomes minus 20 and is equal to 0. You can see that this is the same factor we got before. You would factor out the 2 to make your life easier. And you would discover you're dealing with the factors minus 5 and minus 4, which would simplify to minus 5 and plus 4, which would simplify to that. And this one you can ignore because it's an exception. So we would indeed come up with this as the only solution, which would be 5 divided by 2, which is the same answer we got before. So some people would find that easier. It only works when the right side, it only works when the right side factors, it only works well, I should say, when the right side factors share both of these denominators, which it does. This occurs in E as well. You can see that the factors of this over here are x minus 3, x plus 2, which is shared on the left side. If I multiply both sides by this, denominator, it disappears on the right. And on the left, this part disappears for this one, and this part disappears for this one. So I just, essentially, this one would multiply this part. And the problem is this minus And this minus 5 would multiply the x plus 2 because the x plus 2 of this one canceled. X plus 3 of this one canceled. This one you get 3x squared minus 9x minus 5x minus 10. And on the right, it all cancels. You get it equal to 25. Minus 9x minus 5x is minus 14x. So you get 3x squared minus 14x. And you'd have to subtract the 25 from both sides. Minus 35 is equal to 0. Now my guess is, just a guess, we're probably going to have to use the quadratic equation for this one. And because it doesn't have numbers in common, so we're looking for a number that multiplies out to negative 105, which makes our life hard, and adds up to 14, minus 14. So they're quite a ways apart. So, I mean, 35 and 3. I divide this by 5 and multiply this by 5. We're talking 15 and 7. So it's pretty hard to figure it out. If I do a quick cheat, what are the factors of 105? Or what are the factors of negative 105? There's quite a few in common. 35 and 3. 21 and 5. There we go. That would be 16, though. 21 and 5 is 16. So maybe I made a mistake in the minus 14. I don't know. But you can see that sometimes it doesn't factor. You'd have to use the quadratic. But my point here wasn't that, because I might have made an error. It was that, let's see, 3x squared minus 9x minus 5x minus 10. Minus 10 minus 25 is minus 35. No, I think I got it. So maybe I'll ask Gemini. I should just ask Gemini what the factors of that are. Or you can always look up a quadratic formula calculator. I like the calculator soup one. And you punch in your values of A, 3, B, minus 14, C, minus 35. And hit calculate. And yeah, it's not an easy answer. There is a chance I made a calculation error, but it looks about right.